So in this video, I'm going to show you how to edit simple YouTube videos. This is a great strategy for really quick edits that still look really good. So for your sort of minimalist YouTube videos, talking head style videos, a lot of the ones that you see me sort of doing now, but also my vlogging videos. So if you're doing your vlogging videos, this is a great way to quickly edit very simple vlogging videos and using things like B-roll and very simple edits to make your videos look much better. But the main thing here is speed. We want to be able to do it really quickly. Now I'm going to be using a tool called Descript for this, which I will link to in the video description. Not sponsored at all. This is just the one that I use. Some of the strategies I'm going to be sharing are going to be universal, so you'll probably still get something out of this anyways. But I do like to use Descript because it just makes the editing so much quicker and easier. So the first thing you're going to want to do is download Descript if you've got it. So Descript, I think they have a free account so you can get started and trying it for yourself. Download that, and then you want to open the app on your computer. You can also use it in the browser as well, so whichever one you're doing. I think the browser will probably just use a bit more processing power. But once you've got it, it will either look like this or it will look white. Now I've made mine dark because I like to edit. You just go into the settings, I think somewhere in the settings here, and then you just change the color if that's what you want. But normally you're going to be starting here inside the projects area or home. The first thing you're going to want to do is click on new project and then video project. So I'm going to go into this one, which I've got here, and I've given it a title, and then you want to drag your files inside here. Now what I've done is I've opened up the project tab here, and then I'm going to drop the files inside of here. So if we open up, I've got 3 files here. Now, once your videos are downloaded, you should see them in the side here. Now, before we drag one across, I just want to say it's worth noting that inside of Descript, you can actually record directly into your computer. And this is how I do a lot of my talking head videos, because I've got my webcam or my camera connected in front of me, and it records directly into Descript. But I can also record the screen at the same time. So if you're doing any type of presentation or you're doing screen sharing, then this is a great way to do it. But I really like, for talking head videos, just recording straight into it. Then I don't have to bring things across. But if you're recording on your phone and you want to bring it across, then it's just easy to drag and drop straight in. So the first thing we're going to want to do is get your main file and just drop it straight across. And then what it's going to do is it's going to start transcribing it. And we want it to transcribe it because it's going to make it easier for us to edit, because it's going to literally have all the words, and we can edit the words like it's a text document, which is why this editing process is so super easy. So we just need to wait for that to happen. It may take a minute or two. Then once it's transcribed here, I just like to highlight everything, select it all, and then I go into the layer settings. And the layer settings, if you've got underlord, I mostly ignore this apart from for certain things. So for example, if I wanted to blur this background, which I do a little bit for my talking head videos inside the studio, like where I am now. So this video, I'll add a little bit of blur in the background because my camera doesn't have that, and I like a tiny bit. And if you go into Underlord, you come down, and it's beta, so it takes a few minutes for it to do, but you can go blur the speaker. And then once that's done, it goes in at blurring the background at 50%, which I think is too much. I drop it down to about 25%, and then you get that blurry sort of talking head backdrop, which is great. I'm not going to do it for this video because I actually think the background is bringing in, it makes it look great because it's kind of the vloggy style video that I'm editing here. So I'm going to leave that one as is. Otherwise, you've got all the different sort of AI settings in the Underlord part here. So it can auto remove gaps, it can remove filler words and so on. To be honest, I don't do many filler words, so I just remove those as I go. And I don't really use any of this. You've even got eye contact. So let's say I wasn't staring directly at the camera. You can correct that. But honestly, I don't use most of these. So other than that blur effect, I'm going to use studio sound, but normally I just do this within the layer. I come down, I go audio effects, and I go studio sound. And then I wait, and again, that's probably going to take a couple of minutes. And when that's done, you're going to see a little green check all completed here. What studio sound does is it just gives your voice a little bit of a fuller sound. So it raises your voice, and then it removes some of the background noise. So if you've got echo or you've got sort of mouth noises, it's going to remove most of those. So it's just going to make your videos sound much better. So we just quickly play this. You're probably not going to be able to hear it, but
too often I hear too often that people can't grow their YouTube channel.
So maybe if I then want to boost it out a bit, I can go into dynamics, go compression, and then I can select the type of compressor and go, normally I go classic voiceover. I'm not sure what that's going to be like for an outside video.
I hear too often that people can't grow their YouTube channel because they don't have the time. It's just...
I think that sounds pretty good. I'm going to try it without that.
I hear too often that people can't grow their YouTube channel because they don't have the time. It's just...
Yep, I think that sounds good. Now, I actually, on the microphone, had background removal, so you could also use that. If you're using this studio sound, you don't necessarily need the background removal on the mic. I would have liked some of the wind and sea sound, so I probably shouldn't have had that on and remove this, because if I turn this off, I can play that.
I hear too often that people can't grow their YouTube channel because...
And you can hear some of the wind. You probably can't. There's some of the wind and the sea in the background. So in future, I will just do studio sound here, but I won't have that noise removal in the background. And then I close that down to give myself a little bit more viewing space. And I know I made some mistakes, so I'm going to find the intro where it began.
Now, so many people think that they don't have the time in the day to grow a YouTube channel. And I'll be honest with you,
So that's where the video basically started. I'll just delete that text, and that's it edited. Go here, move it up.
Now, so many people think that they don't have the time in the day to grow.
Now, sometimes when you add studio sound, the lips don't match up properly. It gives it a bit more of studio, which means it's kind of making it sound like it's on two speakers, both the left and the right. And that can just push the lip sync out a bit. It doesn't seem to do it with this particular mic, so I don't really need to, but I'm going to show you what I do in that scenario. I open up the timeline, and I then come here, and if I've got two layers, like I'm screen recording and I've got video at the same time, then I would right-click and go detach audio. Sorry, I would then double-click and open it up, and then detach audio on the actual file with the audio. But as this is just one clip here, I just need to go detach audio on this one. And then I would go detach, and that means I can then, if I've got this selected, double click this, and it will then open it up, and I can move this accordingly to make it match to the lips. But I'm obviously not going to do that for this video because I think it's fine. So we'll just reconnect that. The icons that you have here, this one is to just move things along without actually moving anything. But the main three you're probably going to use are going to be this one, which is to cut a section, this one to remove a section, and then this one, which is just to basically highlight, move things, adjust things. This is the one I try to sit in the most because these ones, they can start to select things to delete or cut. So I prefer to do this one, and then I use this one probably the second most. So that's what you're going to do. So we can also adjust this to make it bigger or smaller if we want. So we can see, go to the lines here, make all of these smaller or bigger if we want, in case you're adding an additional layer. Now maybe I'm going to look at this and go, actually, I don't want so much at the top. I want to move that up a little bit. So we've got the sea and the trees, but I'm also a bit bigger, a bit closer. And then we'll get that. What does that look like?
Now, so many people think that they don't have the time in the day to grow a YouTube channel. And I'll be honest with you, I've never quite understood it.
Yep, I like that. Okay, so from here, you can add different things to this if you want. So you could add some captions to a section, or you could add some elements such as a title or anything like that. But then it's also got stock imagery, videos, and other things. These can be quite handy. Now, you're going to be limited based on the account that you have. Bear in mind that a free account is probably going to watermark your videos, and it's going to limit some of what you can do. But it's a good way to test if you even like the software in the first place. But I like this because it gives me some free stock videos and free stock music that I can use in the videos. I tend to prefer using my own B-roll, but this actually makes that much easier, so I can just drop stuff in. But I've already got some clips for this. So then what I'm going to do is I would listen through this to find any mistakes, and I can clip these mistakes out if I want. And the way that I would add, let's say, if I wanted some captions to the beginning, the way Descript works is you need to create a scene to be able to drop something in. So let's say I go, so many YouTubers think, so I'm going to say seeing in this and. So if I go here, I go / where the and is, and then I go / to end it here, then this is a whole new scene that you see here. So we've got everything that comes after, everything that's before, and this is this scene here that's highlighted. If I do that, it means that I can just drop, say, captions. I can go select scene rather than all scenes. And then I could go for captions, or if I wanted to just drop a video or some content into that particular space, I can then go add captions for that. And because it's been transcribed, it can automatically add captions for that part there. So if we then go up, we can see where it starts here. Play it.
Content. And all you need is 15 minutes in the morning. For example, I'm having a coffee now, and I could chat to you guys every morning if I want.
And you see, it only played for that particular section, but you could, if you wanted, add it to the entire video. I don't recommend that because YouTube has captions built in inside. And for those that want to read different languages or they don't want captions on all the time, then it can be quite distracting. And it also loses its impact. So only use captions sparingly, or if you're doing shorter videos, you could use it for that. So we're going to remove those captions and that scene. So scenes are very important for the way that you edit. So that, other than that, everything else is pretty straightforward. So we will just close that down. And then you would go through and you just edit and delete anything accordingly. Now, if I wanted to zoom in, so let's say I wanted to do a jump cut where I jump in, or I wanted to emphasize something. So I could say, okay, I'm going to, here in this scene, I'm going to create a scene again because I want to jump in. And then I would click here so that I'm inside this scene. And then I could go here and I could say, okay, I want to take this up to 120. Enter. So it zooms in. So then I can go, that is essentially a jump cut, which is a good way of sometimes editing when you've edited something out and you're not quite aligned, you're kind of jumpy. It's a good way to jump in so you avoid some of that. So if we go here and we play it.
Every morning if I want.
Now you saw how it zoomed gently. That is because if we go into the scene, it's added these smart transitions. And these can be great if you're jumping from, say, the little head in the corner when you're screen sharing and then up to a full screen. It does it in a zoom in, zoom out, more gentle way. But for jump cuts, we want to just delete them because we want it to feel jumpy.
You guys, every morning if I wanted, in that
See how it zoomed in? Now I could say, okay, I actually want way more than that. Let's go 140.
For example, I'm having a coffee now, and I could chat to you guys every morning if I wanted in that 15-minute coffee break.
And there you go. So that's a jump cut. Those are a great one. And then the other one is using B-roll. So if I remove all of those, and we go back to normal, I would now play through the video. And there is some sections in here, and you can see the highlighted ums and ahs. You can delete those if you want. And then I come down, I'd watch through. And here I'm talking about The Uneducated Economist, which is a YouTube channel. So now I want to add a screenshot or screen recording to the video. So let's listen to that.
Sound. You can record anywhere. You could be walking down the street. A good example of someone who's done this.
Okay, so I want to drop it about here. So what I want to do here is I'm going to record a video. So I'm going to go record, screen. I'm going to go insert into script. You can do new layer, but new layer might move it all the way to the end of the track. Let's do new layer anyways. But if I insert it into the script, it's going to drop it into this track here. Otherwise, if I do it for new layer, it should in theory put it above here, but sometimes it puts it at the beginning, which is a pain in the butt to move it around. So then I would go into, let's try new layer. I don't need the system sound on. I'm going to record the entire screen. And I'm going to go share. Look down, screen recording, no microphone, no camera, great. And we go record. 3, 2, 1, boop. And there we go. I think that's good enough to demonstrate what I was talking about. And then we give it a moment to process it. Now, once it's processed, if it hasn't dropped here, you may want to zoom out, like I said, because it probably means it's dropped it in the wrong place. So if I go Command zoom out, so Command minus, whatever it is on your computer, I can zoom out, zoom out, zoom out, and I see, okay, so I want to drop it about 2 minutes 59 seconds. It has dropped it here, as expected, as annoyingly expected, because I went on a new line, it dropped it all the way here. So what we can do is just drag it to where I want it, and then we can zoom in again and see if we got to the right spot.
Rustic, rough videos in his car. And he just recorded really rustic.
Okay, so I would then go pull that all the way back until it's on a decent part of the video. Bring it back.
Rustic.
So then maybe I want to trim this as well. So I'll crop that. Just move that down. Move that up. Or maybe we zoom it in. We don't need any of that part because we want to make it bigger. We go done. And then we just make that fit. Scroll it down so it fits. Maybe move that up a bit. And I think that's looking pretty good. And now what I can also do is zoom into the timeline again.
Recorded really rustic, rough videos in his car. And the car is actually a great space because you've got good lighting.
We saw how that came on. Now, if you see this little dot here, I can drag that to make it fade in a bit so it looks a bit more natural.
Really rustic, rough videos in his car. And the car is actually a great space because you've got good lighting, it's soundproof.
I think that's great. I'm going to bring that here, and I'm going to make that blend a little bit here as well.
Just pop it somewhere, or find something to stick onto your window. But there's always some way to easily, cheaply start to record videos.
Okay, great. On to the next part. Now, towards the end, I was speaking about recording B-roll. So, bits of B-roll clips. So I was going on about B-roll clips, and I had some B-roll clips that I was going to be talking about.
B-roll clips. So for example, I could go onto the beach, record a couple of clips.
So I was talking about me potentially going onto the beach to record a couple of clips. So I can go into the project settings. I've got the clips here, and I can go, all right, I'll just drop that one and just drag it, hold it until that feels solid, and then I drop it in. And I can do the same for the other one in a moment afterwards if I want. To close the layer down so we got some space.
Record a couple of clips, so I could record a couple of clips of the...
And then what I do when it's highlighted, because I can hear the wind in the background, is I can go onto the layer and I can just mute the audio. Now that's just a soundless clip on top. And I can again make that fade in, make that fade out.
Clips, so I can record a couple of clips of...
I can make it fade in more if I want.
Record a couple of clips, so I can record a couple of clips of the plants around.
There we go. I think that fades in pretty well. So that's a B-roll clip. And another benefit of using B-roll clips is, let's say you mess up in your video and you want to remove a whole section. And you can't, when you remove the section, they don't meet nicely. And if you do a jump cut, it still doesn't work nicely. Then, because maybe I've got my hands and I'm going like this, and then in the next clip when you remove the parts, my hands are down and maybe I'm looking to the side. It's going to be hard to do a smooth transition for that. So what we can do is we can use B-roll clips of things that are going on around that you recorded, that when you clip that out, you just drop this on top like this, and the clip can be in the middle of it, and no one will know. They'll just hear the voice in the background of the B-roll, and it'll just be a smooth transition. They'll never see that messy, dirty transition. So you've got the jump cuts, and then you've got these B-roll cuts that are going to make life a bit easier for you. But B-roll is also just a great way to bring some life to your video, so it's just not you statically talking. So even if you're walking down the street, you could add a few bits of B-roll clips if you wanted as well, from a few different angles, just to give it some extra layer.
Probably be a 10-minute take video.
So again, that looks quite good, but maybe it needs to blend.
Easy. So this will probably be a 10-minute take video, That's going to take me another.
And again, if you wanted to zoom in more, you can either do it by changing this number, or you can just adjust these to move it around any way that you want. And then that is basically it. So go through, listen to the whole thing, check all of the different parts, edit the parts out that you don't want, and then you go all the way to the end, make sure that it's finishing properly the way you want. Normally it's going to leave a bit extra. Now, I wanted that little bit of outro footage there.
Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
But otherwise, you could just clip that out. But you also saw how it faded out. I don't want that. So again, I go to Scene, and I remove the Smart Transition. Back to the scene, and that's it. Now, you could drop a logo in the corner or do any things like that. But essentially, that is how simple things are. Once you're done, you go into Export. Come here. Go Local Export. Choose the resolution. I almost always just do 1080p. It's high enough. It's good enough quality. If you go bigger, if you're doing high quality videos and you want 4K, fine, but I don't know very many people that basically do 4K stuff. So unless you're doing sort of cinematic or really it's beautiful and you want it to look beautiful, and even on TV, then do 4K, fine. But otherwise, it's just not needed. So 1080p for most people, local file, export it, save it, upload it to YouTube, and away you go. As always, if you've got any questions, just ask in the comments below. And if you want more help growing your channel and your vlog, then I will put a link to our community in the video description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.